Chapter 1. The Gambler.
You!
Julia turned her head, trying to see who was so rude and so loud. She was surprised to see a large man with blonde hair walking towards her. All heads at the table followed him.
Me?
Yes, you. Don't move. Thoughts of a poisonous spider on her shoulder flashed through her mind. Then she decided it was a trick by the casino on an unsuspecting guest, so she played along and froze where she stood.
I need you to stand next to me.
The man put his arm around her waist, urging her to join him at the table. More heads turned to watch the spectacle, and smiles were on all the faces.
Sorry, I can't explain now. Just come here.
She allowed him to guide her to the head of the roulette table.
Let it all right again. Same numbers, 29 and the neighbors.
The man had apparently forgotten about her once she was standing next to him. The croupier spun the wheel.
No more bets,
he said. The ball bounced and landed on 25. The crowd applauded. The croupier eliminated all of the chips from the felt tabletop except those on number 25 or its borders. The man had bet everything spread over numbers 25 to 33. He lost on the other numbers, but won 35 times the amount placed on number 25.
See? You bring me luck.
He picked up a handful of chips and put them in Julia's hand.
For you. What? This is crazy. I'm not lucky. I just lost all my money. But you're lucky for me, and that's all that matters.
He took the entire pile of chips and pushed them toward the croupier.
Everything again, on 29 and the neighbors.
A crowd began to form. The croupier turned to a tuxedoed man with an earpiece who had come to ask him something. The man nodded, and the croupier took the chips and placed them evenly across the numbers.
Don't you want to call it a day?
Julia asked. She realized that each pink chip was worth 1,000 rand. Each stack looked to be at least 20 high. The man ignored her and watched as the croupier spun the wheel. This time it was number 30. Cheers roared, and the crowd grew larger. No one else bet, as they watched with fascination at the amount of money being wagered. By now, several security staff and the pit boss were standing next to the croupier. The man's face became purple with excitement. Julia could feel herself strangely drawn to the excitement without knowing why. It was insane. The crowds pushed against her, and her body was crushed against his. He didn't seem to notice at first, but then he put his arm around her waist. She let him. Nothing and no one would deny this man what he wanted tonight, she thought. Not even luck.
Everything on 29,
he said. The whispers whipped through the crowd, and they began to cheer and chant, drinks spilling on each other. Julia could only see the whites of their teeth and eyes. Everything else blurred in a sun-tanned cocktail of gambling fever. The man returned his hands to grip the edge of the roulette table. Julia forgotten again. She could see the veins on his neck clearly, as though he had done heavy lifting. She saw white spittle at the corner of his mouth.
I'll need to confirm with the house, sir, the croupier said. Fuck the house. I'm here to play. Either take the bet or give me my money, and I'll go elsewhere.
The crowd cheered louder. He had become their champion. The croupier looked at the pit boss, who nodded. The man pushed all of his chips toward the croupier, who exchanged them to purple chips with pink centers, each one worth 25,000 rand. When the mechanics of counting and exchanging chips were over, there was a stack of 32 purple chips with pink centers on number 29. He spun the wheel, and all eyes watched it turn, the white ball whirling in the opposite direction. As soon as the croupier spun the wheel and flicked the ball, the man reached over and moved the stack to number 13. It was highly irregular, and the pit boss involuntarily lunged forward.
No further bets,
croupier said, glancing at the pit boss. The wheel slowed, and the ball began to bounce off the ridges. The cheering stopped as people craned their neck to see where it landed. Julia's mouth had gone dry at the sheer magnitude of the bet and the recklessness of the man. As the ball did its final dance on the moving numbers, she was pushed hard by a Chinese man beside himself with tension. She heard rather than saw the result. Number 13. The crowd went crazy. The man collapsed under congratulations, and the pit boss removed the croupier from the table. Random members of the crowd hugged the man, and he hugged them back. Women kissed him lustily. It took several minutes for the excitement to die down enough for him to turn and see the pit boss next to him.
"Congratulations, Mr. Smith,"
he said, shaking his hand.
"I didn't think this table had a limit. You just proved us wrong, again."
He picked up a black cloth and laid it over the table.
"Mr. Kersner has extended his personal congratulations and would like you to take the penthouse villa as your personal residence for as long as you like. Tell Saul thanks. If you can have my things moved there, I'll be having a few friends join me to celebrate."
The man threw the pit boss a purple and pink chip. To Julia, he picked up a handful of the same chips and put them in her hands.
"For you, my Lady Luck. Thank you."
Julia was too stunned to say anything other than take the chips. The whole process was too surreal.
"What's your name?"
"Matthys. Yours?"
"Julia. Nice to meet you."
She had to shout about the crowd.
"Have you had dinner?" Not yet." "Then join me. I need to cash these in, and then we can go and see how we can spend it."
He was matter-of-fact about the win, almost oblivious to the fact he now had enough money to live 10 lifetimes in luxury. He almost seemed deflated, as if the whole high of winning was a disappointment.
"I just need to find my friends and let them know where I'm going. I'll have them join us. I have a feeling we're going to have one hell of a party."
He had regained his energy, the shadow of disappointment gone, and was preparing to spend his riches. She went to the craps stable to find Jane and Stuart gambling their allotted sums.
"How's it going?" "Stu's just won, but I think we're down over half. What's all the commotion about? Were you near enough to see?" "Apparently I am the winner's Lady Luck," she said.
Stuart was in his own world, trying to play the odds the way he'd read in his travel book.
"What?" "I know, it's crazy. He's like a force of nature."
Her face was flush.
"And he's cute."
"Cute?"
"In a madman kind of way. He grabbed me and put me next to him. There's no other way I can say it. Then he bet everything he had, and in 3 rolls of the wheel he broke the table. There's a black cloth over it, like it's dead."